as me, you remember that the first text message was sent in 92, and it took them 7 years to get to the first $1 billion. But in the next 4 years, it multiplied by about 100-fold. So we see NTN as probably on a similar path in that, you know, it's a technology that's kind of relatively nascent today, but is making very quick progress. You only need to look around this event to see the number of companies this year talking about NTN versus a couple of years ago. One of the challenges for many of the participants in this is exactly who's going to pay for what. Yeah. It's been one of the biggest challenges, not just in NTN, but in other technologies, you know, with 5G, perhaps in some areas not having made back all the investment that's gone into it. There's a nervousness across some of the players as to exactly where are we going to see it monetized. Yes, coverage extension, text messaging when you're out of coverage, but the market is so much bigger than that, and there are so many more opportunities.
This is quite a complex environment. The history in terms of the terrestrial and non-terrestrial operators from a operating system point of view, from an architectural point of view, is very diverse. And the reality is you're actually layering on top of that, you're layering customer experiences, customer journeys. So things like policy and pricing, the notion of a harmonized service mesh across, I think is very, very important. If you don't have that in place, if you don't have standard composable capabilities in place from an architectural point of view, it's going to be very, very difficult to extract the AI benefits.
AI is not something that is an optional element of NTN. It's going to be a mandatory piece of the puzzle that we have to fix. The reason I'm saying that is because if you look at the complexity of the network that's in NTN, right? So you have satellites moving around all the time. You have the ground stations, you've got UVs. Pretty much everything is moving at the speed of, like 8 kilometers per second is, for the data constellation. So you can imagine the complexity involved. So if you have to build an algorithm which can take care of these scheduling logic across these moving variables, it's going to be difficult. The standard scheduler is not going to help. Which means you need to bring in an AI which can predict ahead of time.
One of the challenges between bringing satellite and cellular together is you're talking about two industries that not only have traditionally operated with different technology stacks, proprietary versus standards-based, but you've also been dealing with two industries that have fundamentally dealt with different investment cycles.
Yeah. Right.
So, the satellite industry historically has had to make bets on, 15 and 20-year lifespans for products and services. That isn't the case in cellular at all, and it certainly isn't today with things moving a lot faster. So one of the areas that I think, not only standardization, but AI can potentially bring is the opportunity to try, fail fast, implement quickly, and get insights quickly. Our initial approach into the market this year is really around the IoT use case.
Yeah, right.
Fits our network, fits our technology. We're doing that both directly as well as roaming with carriers. That gives us the benefit of trying lots of different use cases because the IoT market is really wide and varied. So we will be doing a lot of experimentation in terms of how we price. Is it, attach rates? Is it usage rates? Is it insurance only? All of these are going to be things that we're trying to see where are customers actually prepared to pay and what is a sustainable service for the long run.
Look at the TCO aspect from a SNO point of view, right? So obviously there's a huge capex to launch the satellite, but once it's in space, power is free, cooling is free. You just have the satellites all around, running around this planet. So how do you take care of the rest of the piece is the puzzle that we have to, fix on the ground, which is how do I make sure that my NTN baseband and the core is fully aware of what's really happening in the region where the satellite is hovering around.
Right.
Second is obviously how do you anticipate things that are going to happen and then make sure that your quality of service remains same. For example, you give a slice to a user, say that, okay, I'm going to give you X number of bits per second on that slice. How do you ensure that happens?
When it comes to the outcome of monetization, and you said it very clearly, Tim, is that, we're here to optimize our businesses, to make more money, right? So I think the rationale around establishing standards and platforms that serves the common industry has to have an outcome, and it needs to be it needs to enable easier monetization. I think that's very clear.
Monetization for me is who's going to pay, how much are they going to pay, and why are they going to pay.